our vision is that simply translate the medication into the software, but with safe modality.
Okay, welcome, Jonghwa, to my startup podcast. It's a pleasure to have you on, and I appreciate you staying up till very late at night since you're based out of Korea. But yeah, it's great to meet you over Zoom.
Yeah, it's also really my honor to be here. Um, really glad to be here, and yeah, I have a hope we can have great time today. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And just for some background, I met one of Jonghwa's associates at one of my networking events in New York City, Jay, and
Right.
then he referred me to you when I asked if your company is interested in doing a founder interview. So it's great that we could connect in that way and
That's
and talk
great.
over Zoom here for the first time. Usually, I like to start off with an introduction. So just like, do you mind telling me more about your background before we jump into your startup? Just what led up to this point? Were you born and raised in Korea? Were you always interested in starting a company?
hmm Yeah. Briefly talking about myself first. Yeah, I'm Jonghwa Park, the founder of Bell Therapeutics. So briefly, Bell, we develop in digital therapeutics. So basically, it is a kind of an app-based treatment that can be prescribed by a doctor and in the hospital. So so simply, it's kind of an app, but really different with the wellness app. So we have to rigorously validate our app with the clinical trials and also should get the approval by the regulatory bodies. So yeah, that is a simple statement of our company. And myself, my story is that actually I was started from the composer, so music composer.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I I studied the music composition at Seoul National University, but I was really fascinated by how our brain perceives music. So I also pursued another degree in electrical engineering and
Okay.
studied the neuroscience in the grad school. So that's my academic background. So the reason why Bell is um, doing the sound thing and integrating the sound and neuroscience and the healthcare together. So yeah, that's our story.
I see. Yeah, yeah, no, that's a very interesting background. It's funny. I just interviewed um, a guy from Taiwan who he was a trumpeter, and he switched over to like aerospace engineering. So it's an interesting transition to be able to yeah switch to such different fields, but still be able to like catch up and learn all those technical skills in that short period of time. So that must have been very challenging. And but it sounds like you're leveraging your music background with sort of equipment, medical equipment related to audio, to sound. Do you mind just telling us about some of the products that you guys manufacture, some of the health products?
Yeah, basically Bell is developing two main pipeline. We call it a developing a product. So the first one is used to treat the insomnia patients, and the second one is for the hearing loss patients to provide the auditory rehabilitation to them. So two products are really different, and to for the concept and the how to use, they are really different. But but basically, they are using the sounds to modulate our brain and activate some specific region or the pattern of our neurological pathway. So it works.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So is it similar in form to music where it's some kind of a tune, a frequency that's lighting up our brain to, for example, help us sleep, or is it more like some kind of a white noise type of, single frequency or group of frequencies that are being played?
Yeah. It's I usually describe these sounds as a middle point of the music and some sound effects. So
Okay, yeah.
yeah, so it's composed by kind of a cocktail of the many different frequencies. So, and also have another musical factors like specially designed the envelope, which is the trends of the amplitude of the sounds. So we blend some different kind of musical feature and the sound feature to target some specific neuromodulation effects.
Okay, so I have two questions. I'll start off with the first one. So first off, how did you come across sleep or insomnia and hearing loss to be the problems to go after with sound treatments? And then after that, I'll just ask, what was the process for deciding what frequencies to target? But yeah, but for the first one, yeah, how do you decide on these problems?
You mean how did I start these problems? The insomnia and the auditory rehabilitation.
Right. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So how did you decide to start working on those problems
yeah,
versus any other problem?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, everything starts from my academic background in the school. Actually, I was in the students in the College of Music, but um, I attended several classes in College of Medicine. So
Okay.
yeah, I one of the impressive is a guide 101 of the insomnia and sleep disorders. Yeah. So at that class, the professor taught us what is the cause of the insomnia and how the sleeping pills are working, like the mechanism of action of the hypnotics. So at that time, um, I felt some types of the frequency and some feature of the music can arise similar effects with that mechanism of action of the sleeping pills. So I thought, why we can't use these sounds as a treatment to,
Right.
yeah, alternative one of the sleeping pills. So it was the first idea comes from. And I told
I
the professor to this concept and suggested it, and he told me he agreed to my concept. So I pursued to study about that. So we started like that for the first item.
Yeah, yeah, that's very interesting. So, how did you know that there was a similar effect with music and sleeping pills? Were you looking at a certain like EKG or something? Like what
Oh
kind
yeah.
of instrument were you using to measure the effect?
Yeah, actually, I was a composer, so I had many experiences to arise the people's mind and also can make their heartbeat relaxed with my musical features. So
Uh,
um, simply, redesigned this music into some kind of an medical device. So now we don't use the fixed sound like an MP3 files or videos, but this shapes like only exists like an algorithm. So make an input as their biosignals, then it computes the optimal sound simulation and make the output as an optimized sound simulation to the person. So the concept is simple. We produce them to the patients the personalized sound to them, and after we developed this prototype, we tested the efficacy and safety with several clinical trials. The first trial was using the polysomnography, which is collecting the EKG and EEG, and capnography, the pattern of the breathing. So
Okay,
yeah, collect almost every important feature of our biosignals. So
I
they
see.
that measure um, the stage of the sleep, and define calculates the sleep quality of a day. So it is uh, mainly used to check the to validate the efficacy of the new sleeping pill drugs, like an FDA clinical trials of the final stage, the phase 3. So we also use the same measurements, and we found that our sounds can enhance the general sleep quality very effectively within just once a single use. So like taking a sleeping pills in a day.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. So did you guys do? You mentioned you actually did a clinical trial, so you had to go through all of the the process of getting volunteers to try out the your device, and then doing a blind test between that and the sleeping pills. Did you also have like the control group of the sleeping, or I guess, yeah, did you also have a group with sleeping pills, or did you more compare that to historical data?
Actually, that's what we really want to do for the next time, to compare the efficacy with like a zolpidem, the prescription sleeping pills, or
Yeah.
melatonin with our software device. But there's some also critics, even we compare to the pills, like because as you mentioned, designing the clinical trial, we have to consider many factors. Like blinding is one of the most important feature, and the
Uh-huh.
control condition is also really important. So we usually design a sham device, which is a fake device, and
Ah,
induce the placebo.
yeah.
It's almost same with the placebo group or
Yeah.
placebo control condition in the drug development phase trial phase. So in case of the medical device, we use a sham device for the placebo, and we compare our app's efficacy with the sham app with our real app. We're designing this final clinical trial for upcoming our right next trial, as the for the phase 3 trial in KFDA, our final step.
Okay.
So yeah, that's our one of the um, challenging milestone of we're facing now. So
Yeah.
before that, we only compared to the just a control condition, which is no intervention. So we compared to the without the any intervention, we
Mm,
can measure how their sleep quality was good or not, and compared to that, with our intervention, how much our app enhanced this sleep quality. We we calculate this difference.
I see. I see. Yeah, that makes sense. And so for the placebo sound that you guys play, is it an audible sound that also has some other effect? Like, how do you choose the placebo sound? Is it just a white noise sound, or because I would imagine that you'd
Yeah,
want to choose something that convinces the person in the experiment that it's the actual treatment,
that's right.
without actually interfering with it, in some weird way with the person's sleep. So,
That's
yeah, how do
right.
you guys
How
recommend
did you know that? Yeah, that is really important principle of the designing the sham device. Um, One of the important thing is that the patients have to almost kind of be deceived by this
Right.
device. They have to
Yeah.
deceive, so that the placebo effects have to come up. However, mainly that sounds should not give some positive or negative effect without anything. So, but every ASMR, the kind of white noise or some simple pure tone sounds also can have some positive effects in some literature.
Ah,
So we it was not easy to use this noise sound. So we
yeah.
thought about that really much. But so the conclusion is that for the starting point, we use is the audible sounds, and in the middle points, we slowly fade out of the sounds. So it still generates um, the audible sounds, but merely the patients can notice these sounds, so that they can perceive, oh, might be I'm be treating by the sounds now, but we said the sounds not affect them much.
So I'm imagining that you're looking at well, like the various frequencies of the sound, and there's parts of it that are audible and parts of it that may be audible, maybe not, but they could have some effect on the user. You wanna filter out those and just leave the stuff that's audible that you think might not have an effect on the user? Is that
Yeah,
yeah,
simply.
yeah, kind of like that? Okay.
Yeah. It's a little tricky, and
Yeah.
we changed this sham condition very many times, and we try to find valid and make sense, rational of this
Yeah.
sham. Yeah, it was really hard, but yeah, now we've
Yeah, yeah, I would imagine that would be very tough, yeah. And is it tough to get these, since they are medical, technologies, is it tough to get them approved, by, government organizations, regulatory, organizations? And also just before you answer that, I was curious, what form does it take? Can you play this on your phone, or do you have to have a certain device to play it?
yeah, we the only thing we need is the smartphone. So
Smartphone, yeah.
yeah, we also considered whether should we use some extra device, like which is connect to the smartphone like a Bluetooth, but we considered to wearing kind of a belt and chest belt to collect their um, biosignals. However,
Okay.
we decided we didn't we will not, in at least in the first version, because adding the hardware, it will reduce the distribution easiness.
I see, yeah. Got it, got it.
And even we don't collect their biosignals that way, we can we already designed very effective sound treatment within using the smartphone only.
Yeah, that's incredible. It shows how powerful, the smartphones have gotten, that you can, kind of, use them just to do very many things, including medical treatments, which,
Mhm.
I'm sure it wasn't designed to do that, but now it's helping people
Mhm.
sleep, so that's pretty, surprising. Is this product available as, like, a medical product in the US, yet, or is it still mostly in Korea?
Yeah, yeah, yet we are preparing to sell in the South Korea first, but
Yeah.
yeah, but we really want to sell it in US, so we have to
Uh-huh.
prepare the FDA trials and some
Yeah.
regulatory affairs too. And we're searching for that, but that will be just right after we get the approval from the KFDA first.
Okay, got it. And I know, so there are some people that I've talked to that they create apps that help people with their well-being, and they kind
Mhm.
of technically list them as just like wellness apps rather than
Right.
medical treatments. And then, that way they can bypass some of the regulation.
Mhm.
Is this something that you could offer like a more
Mhm.
therapeutic addition first, and then once it's like proven itself and you've gotten all the necessary information, then switch it over to more of a health treatment. Is that like something that you're considering when trying to enter the U.S. market without having to, wait for all of the lengthy process of the FDA?
Yeah, that's really great question. And actually, most of our VCs asked me strategically. Only the reason of this strategy. We we are also have convinced to sell as a wellness app, but
Okay.
but selling a distributing this app with the clinical side first with the prescription version, and then we sell it as a second label for the wellness app would be get better branding and can provide the credibility to the customers too, because you know like an Harvard Medical Schools approved and they prescribed this app, um, when we use that branding, that
Uh-huh.
reputation, and then sell this app as advertising with that statement, that would
Right.
be much credible for the customers and probably have better efficacy in their,
Yeah.
yeah, mind. It is same in Korea too. We started this app to study in the Seoul National University Hospital in first time, and
Okay.
it
Yeah.
it gets really high credibility and um, to the patients and every VC or customers too.
Okay. So that's great. So you've already gotten approval to use it as a medical treatment in within what was it, the Seoul University Hospital?
Yeah, so National University
National
Hospital,
University.
which is kind of an um, MGH in US, Massachusetts General Hospital.
Okay. Okay. I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And then, so is that part of the process of getting, you said you had to get it approved by some Korean regulatory organization. Is this
Mhm.
part of that process, testing it first in the hospital?
Yeah, we've done several trials before, but getting a final approval from the regulation, yeah, we need a more well-designed trial and more larger size and more getting more cost and time. So, yeah. The final step is we're designing the final clinical trials with the six teaching hospitals in Korea. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's getting larger patients and getting more multi-center clinical trials are more um, have the high level of the evidence because the every sites have the we can check whether every sites have similar efficacy or similar results. Yeah, it can also get the credibility too.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, if there's so many variables, but if even in different hospitals where there's maybe a slightly different environment, if there's still that signal getting through that it's improving sleep, then that's got to be a pretty I would be pretty confident that that's a true signal. If it's even with the very environment, it's still easy to read it. Did you have like a mentor that got you into the space?
Mhm.
Anyone that I know you mentioned that you took some medical classes during college. You studied electrical engineering. Was there someone that got you into this space, or that really knew the domain knowledge and brought you up to speed and told you what some of the interesting problems are?
Yeah, actually, I'm a neuroscience guy and musician guy, and could be an engineering guy, but I'm not a
Oh,
clinician, so I'm not a physician too. So
right.
yeah, we need a clinical mentor, really. So thankfully, our mentor is the neurologist who is in the Seoul National University Hospital, and he is actually the professor who I told you about in my background. Uh, the class the professor in that class. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay, yeah.
yeah. I was in the students in that class, and he was a teacher at there. And at that time, I didn't notice that he was how he was great person in these fields, but he was one of the legend person in key
Oh,
opinion
really?
leader in insomnia and sleep disorder in South Korea, and not even the South Korea, but also he is first fellow member in American Association of Sleep Medicine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yes, he is also one of the key opinion leader in globally too.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes a huge difference to have, like, a really, s knowledgeable mentor like that. It's someone especially that's very knowledgeable about a certain domain, like you said, that you don't have a background in, and there's so many, pitfalls that as a founder you could run into, if you're taking some new path that no one's taken before or that you're not familiar with, and it saves you an unbelievable amount of time to have a mentor to point out those pitfalls and kinda lead you in the right direction,
That's
which
right.
ultimately improves your chances of success. Because if things get drawn out with all those pitfalls, the more likely it is that your morale drops and then, you feel like quitting or you're just not as motivated to work as efficiently,
Mhm.
so it makes a big difference, and,
You know what? You know what?
yeah.
Interesting is that you know, developing a medical device or drug development is taking longer time compared to the innovative technology like IT or AIs.
Right, yeah, yeah.
So we need a plan, and we have to validate whether market really needs this product if we really finally make and get an approval.
Right.
So he can gives us he gave us I can prescribe this medical device if you guys develop this well, or there's some insomnia patients like these kinds of features hugely needs this app, and some of the insomnia patients will not. Yeah, he advises like that, how the market works and how the clinical science works, how the
Yeah,
doctors will prescribe or not. So it was really valuable. And finally, when he used our final version of our prototype, he told us even this kind of prototype, I can suggest my patients to use this app. So
yeah,
it seems really effective, he says. So we have confidence so that we can, yeah, pursue very
yeah.
fastly. Yeah.
That's great because it's incredibly motivating to know basically the demographic that's going to be your customer, this doctor, in your case, is telling you that this is going to provide value to people in his position. So to know that, to already have it validated, and like you said, that's incredibly important for the medical space because you have such a long period of trying to launch something with all the clinical trials that you better be sure that it's going to actually provide value. So that's nice that you have that firsthand validation there. And but speaking of the lengthy process for getting medical products out there,
Mhm.
I've heard several people talk about startup ideas for using AI to accelerate the clinical trial process. Have you seen anything about that, and have you used anything? Do you think that it'll be useful, these tools?
Some of them told us about the digital twin, like we can simulate the results of the clinical trials, but actually, I think it could be somehow far distance between at this point. So we
Yeah,
didn't try that yet. But soon, probably soon, if we can make every different personnel that we target to treat like a patient's persona uh, for thousands of the different persona, and we can check whether suppose this scenario whether that AI persona using our app and can see how the clinical outcomes gets better or not. Yeah. Like that way, we can simulate the failure or the uncertainty of the clinical trials before, but at now it couldn't be. So in a different way, we use this. We're considering to use the AI for the regulatory affairs because
Yeah,
like an we call this an SOP, the standard operating protocol or practice in the clinical trial and the medical device qualification. So there's thousands of the package of the documents. So
uh,
I think many people have to cover this task, but we are small and our team is really integrated each other. So we are thinking about that. Why don't we make the model learn our documentation and then ask to the model how we should do to obey these rules or the practice as we establish it. So
I see. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, that's one of the things that LLMs like ChatGPT are very good at is just taking large documents and being able to sift through them quickly and find important information. So yeah, that makes sense if you have a smaller team, just to be
mhm.
able to run those large documents through the AI, and then it would produce the those important points, those regulatory points that you need to focus in on in order to move through the process. What would you say is the biggest bottleneck that causes the clinical trial phase to take very long?
That's a great question, but also slightly tricky question. But
It may be many things that
yeah, many
cause it to
things.
take long, so it could be a tough question to answer.
There's physically some time we cannot reduce, like enroll the patients and
Yeah.
give them the treatment intervention and see their outcomes. So this duration cannot be shortened, I think. But
Yeah.
before that, many times are consumed to preparing the and design and preparing the documents for the new trial. I think this period can be shortened really as much we do well or don't do well. So one of the important features is that estimating the efficacy of these intervention. So here's the example. We use the clinical outcomes for like an sleep quality as an index of ISI. We call this an insomnia severity index. So we
Okay.
should reduce the baseline ISI from the baseline ISI, and after finishing the intervention period, we should reduce this ISI number like 6 points more or 3 points more. Then it's going to be get a higher probability of the success of this clinical trial we can have. But our product only can make efficacy as 2 points of the reducing 2 points, then it will be fail. So before we design, many things are just assumed, but if we can have some real value of whether we not assume these numbers, then the success probability of the clinical trials gets really much higher and can reduce the period to prepare the clinical trials. So we usually do this reducing process with test to small group of the patients. Usually, for we call this kind of like a beta test because our app is not harmful and really low risk. Kind of process can reduce the trial uncertainty and the cost and time too. Probably the AI can used to this process too.
Yeah, I was gonna make sure I understand that. So are you saying that, in order to have a high likelihood of success in the trial, you would have to, like you said, prove, that it decreases the ISI, by 6 points, but if you do a beta test ahead of time, do you need less of a point differential to be, like, significant, in the success? Is that what it is, or am I misunderstanding that?
Uh, yeah, that's right. We can suppose assuming assumption of some values of the expected values. So, but before we run the clinical trial, we by running the beta test, we can um, find more evidence-based value, so that process will shorten the time to preparing the trial and higher the success probability of the trial too.
Okay. Yeah, so it's kind of like creating some prior knowledge that you have when going into the trial.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, actually,
Got it.
it is more important to reduce the time to preparing the trial. I think it's more important to get enhance the probability of the success of the trial.
Oh, I see. Right, because if it fails and you have to do another one, then that's
Yeah,
much more time. Yeah.
yeah, more time and more
Yeah.
cost there.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, so it's not just time, but success too. And I imagine that, yeah, AI would be good at generating like this, coming up with at least a template for the design of the child to optimize things. And then from there you could adapt it. So maybe that's an area for someone looking to start a startup to help clinical trials. They could focus on that.
Probably, we are considering to implementing the AI for the next version of our app.
Oh,
Like
okay.
we can collect. We are now doing another study, which is not a little different with the clinical trial. It's kind of a study, more into the neuroscience study. So we collect their EEG waves, more high density, and gives
Sorry,
them
which waves?
brain waves.
Oh, brain waves. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We collect with EEG. We call it as an EEG, encephalogram,
Okay.
electroencephalogram. So we give them many different sound stimulation and see how their brain waves are modulated by that sounds. So by that process, we want to find the optimal sounds to that person more. So by this
Oh, okay.
trial,
Yeah.
by this study and data sets, we are collect which sounds is more optimal to these expected patients, whether we don't have their model and their brainwaves model. So if this study is done, then we might can produce more optimized sound to the new patients. Then the efficacy goes more better with these AI process. Yeah, AI systems.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds really interesting. So you would basically be using AI to learn the certain patterns of each person's brain, so that then you can create a noise or like you said, some kind of noise in between sound effects and music that really caters specifically to their brain waves and better is a better treatment for them specifically.
Yeah, yeah.
That's yeah,
That's
that's
right.
that's great. So what would you say is your ultimate vision for the company? Where do you see Bell Therapeutics going? Do you want to focus on on these two pillars, hearing and sleep, or expand out into other areas?
Actually, we are starting to solve the problem in the healthcare problems, like healthcare sectors. Everyone is talking about what is the digital transformation in the healthcare fields. So, you know, DT in everywhere makes new hegemonies, but not in until but yet in I think the in healthcare sectors it wasn't changed much more. So everyone is looking forward to what is the most biggest digital transformation in the biotech and the healthcare. So we think we can design the new digital therapeutics um, by that. So our concept is really simple. Previous digital therapeutics are designed based on the behavioral therapy. Um, we call it as CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. The concept is simply they try to change the patient's bad habits to some good habits. But
Okay.
yeah, it's really hard. For example, to educate the insomnia patients, drinking a coffee in afternoon is not good for your sleep quality, and yeah, inhibit that, behave like that, and don't do your smartphone in the bed. Yeah, that kind of the education is given to the CBT, but I think we call that as in digital therapeutics before, but it takes too long to to experience the efficacy. So I think doctors and patients cannot endure these long period of the treatment to change their behavior. Our concept is that if we can design the medication's mechanism of action into digital software and digital simulation.
Ah, okay. Yeah, yeah.
So our vision is that yeah, simply translate the medication into the software. So we want to
Yeah.
really make some brain modulation, neuromodulation with the sounds or some other digital stimulation, and want to induce um, the pills efficacy, but with safe modality. With this approach, we dream we can change the generation of the medication, so we can enhance safety, but still get some quick and effective efficacy of the pill, which the pill has.
Yeah, I love that vision. It's very clever. The idea that, I mean, a big reason that there is this whole startup space, um, that can scale quickly and create for venture investors, create big returns, is because digital solutions in general are very scalable. Once you solve one problem
Right.
for one person, you can scale it to 100 million people very quickly.
Right.
And so that's what created this whole kind of software startup space, is because it's very quick to scale, and so people can make yeah, very effective products very quickly. And so versus medical, like you said, it tends to be you need physical treatments, which does not scale and does not move as quickly as software. And then so your clever vision is to create the treatments in the digital space so that you can scale them very quickly, which I think is a great idea. And I
You-
look forward to seeing what other solutions you guys come up with.
That's really what I want to say, and you summarized and you noted really well. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, thanks. Thank you for coming up with the idea. It's very interesting.
It is really really thrilling. I mean, um, in another clinical trial, it's kind of a study too, but we have some experience in the some other teaching hospitals in South Korea too. The professor have some patients who doesn't respond to the sleeping pills. Even that is a prescribed medication, which means really has a high efficacy. But um, she prescribed 2 or 3 medications to the patients, but it wasn't responded to them. And finally, she tried our app to them. But everyone was insomnia disorder. So it was really astounding that the final try attempts, um, it was really effective to them. So she was really astonished, and also the residents and fellow doctors are also cannot believe this phenomenon, but you know some patients are even they doesn't respond to the sleeping pills also can experience quick and dramatic efficacy in our app, sound-based app. So it was really our dream that they're also post-stroke patients. So it was little hard to prescribe general sleeping pills. So it should be prescribed very delicately, but our app can be an alternative way to prescribe to them. It was really safe, so easily prescribed and easily attempt to them too. So it is kind of a vision that we hope our approach can give to many patients who cannot use traditional or conventional sleeping pills. Might be we can give them new solution or new attempts. One of the another attempts too.
Yeah, and that's a pretty, profound discovery to see that it was more effective than the traditional sleeping pills because, of course, pharmaceuticals are, a huge industry. It's a multi-billion dollar,
Of
how many
course.
billions in industry, and to see that there's, in this at least in this case, that sound treatment can be more effective, it makes you wonder, could there be a whole other industry, here?
Mhm.
Not to get ahead of things, but yeah, is there a whole new way to deliver treatments through audio that's, like you said, safer? There's maybe not as many side effects, it sounds like you're thinking as compared to pills that you take, which often can develop, dependencies for people. So yeah, that would be pretty amazing if there is, like, a whole new space, to operate in, to come up with treatment ideas. How has it been starting a startup in Korea? I know I interviewed a VC, previously who specializes in, East Asian startups and expanding them into different markets like Europe and the US, which I'm happy to introduce you to him, later on if you'd like. But,
Thank you. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah, I definitely will, send you over his information, but, how has it been starting in Korea?
Yeah, actually, here's also good place to start a startup. And,
Yeah,
yeah, because governments are really encouraging to start um, this new business to young children's, young peoples. But it's not easy to compare into the Silicon Valley or US VCs because I don't have experience in funding from your country
right,
yet,
right.
but we're really open to and hope to
Yeah,
get that. Yeah. So
yeah.
anyway, but in Korea, maybe you already knows the government grant is one of the big pivots in big dimension, a big component in this field. So they spend
Okay,
yeah they spend big money and want to facilitate these sectors. And many races are also in here. So we visit many races, but still we didn't still finding new races are in there. I think this time for this year and probably last year was not easy year to get a fund,
okay, yeah,
but at least we got enough fund. So
yeah, that's good.
glad to get that, and there's an hope, and probably yeah it is working industry in South Korea, I think.
So it sounds like there's kind of a core funding stream from the government, so does it make sense if you're trying to start a startup in Korea to see what is the government funding and what are they, interested in giving grants for? And would you say it's easier to start up a startup in those spaces?
That's right. Government fundings are also directly give to the companies, uh, like a format of the study, but also there's a fund that is given to the VC companies so that companies run the government's funding to themselves for their free their willings. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Okay, interesting.
I
Yeah,
mean their decision. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
got it. And what would you say has been the biggest challenge that you've faced so far with starting a yeah kind of a deep tech startup,
Mhm.
med tech startup?
Actually, it is my personal. It could be a personal experience, but I
Yeah.
think in Korea, starting really new things are a little hard because in our country, we don't have many experience to create whole new things. Like, you know, we have Samsung and many big companies in compared to the world, but as you know, Samsung is grown for the fast followers strategy, and
Ah,
they're
right.
facing the next generation for the creativity now. But
Yeah.
is it hard in our country? I think, yeah, many people's thinking about that. Whether you guys really can create whole new things. If we
It's
argue
tough.
that, yeah,
Yeah.
if we argue that they can't understand, can't believe whether we really invented this new
Right,
first
right.
time in
Yeah.
the world. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's true. It's incredibly tough to create something original, something that doesn't exist, that hasn't existed previously. Because not only do you have to make some new thing work, but you have to, like you said, convince people that it does work,
mhm,
and convince people that that this is something worth trying out. And yeah, you just have to educate people on what it actually is, because they unlike if you make a new smartphone, people use them every day. They know smartphones can be useful,
that's
and
right.
then they have something to compare a new smartphone with their previous experiences to say, okay, is this smartphone, better than the other ones versus
That's
a new
right.
product. They have nothing to compare it to, and they don't know what it is. So it's very tough.
Yeah, probably it could be not the some problem in South Korea. Probably many peoples are hard to start the new things, even in
Yeah,
US too. But I think US is financial growth, and you guys the level of the capital. How can I say it? Yeah. So anyway, you guys are kind of matured in capitalism, so so much more number of the VC companies. It must be the extreme line, out of the borderline. So there's could be a small number of some VCs can understand and can touching to that idea of the new creativity. I think that,
yeah. I
yeah,
I think I understand what you're saying. Like if there's a big pool of VCs, then it's more likely that at the tail end of that pool, there's going to be some that
mhm.
are very willing to try something completely original, just because there's going to be more outliers. Because there's
Yeah, yeah,
just
right, right. Yeah.
more VCs in general, right? Yeah, that's a good point. The last question to wrap things up. What's like the most valuable or some of the most valuable insights that you've gotten while working on this startup that you could pass on to someone else who's trying to start a company, that would help them avoid, a year or 2 years of work because they went down some wrong path or made some mistake?
That's really hard question.
Yeah. And if there's not like, something that groundbreaking that you have off the top of your head, just whatever you think that would be very insightful had you known it
Yeah.
sooner.
So this is not limited to the healthcare sector, right? So
Yeah,
generally to
that's fine. Yeah.
every
You can
entrepreneurs.
make it more general, sure.
It's kind of an advice to myself.
Uh,
I make my reflections sometimes. I say I say to me, you can imagine that you already lived 10 years or 20 years more and achieved something, and suppose that you're a time slip to back to this point,
yeah.
and then the problem now you're facing is not could be a big deal. So you can think it as a really easy happening, or you can deal with really huge great wisdom. And also many people, I feel many peoples are hard to behave or act um, something, even they thinking about, am I can I do it or should I do it? I want to do it, but they are hard to do it. Even I'm saying, but so I wanted to say, might be some days after it and reflecting that time, it could be much easier to decide or behave. So suppose that and act just right now. It's hard to
So
describe in English, but I sometimes was thinking about that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, let me see if I understand it right. So are you saying to kind of reframe things? Like, so if you have some problem in front of you that feels impossible to resolve, you can think of yourself like 20 years ahead of time, and that problem was already taken care of it. And in hindsight, it seems like, well, that wasn't too bad at all. To then bring yourself back to the present and think about, okay, if you know, if you
Yeah.
can envision that future, then this problem in front of me doesn't feel so big. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I experienced this similar feelings. I love to watch to see a webtoon. Do you know the webtoon?
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of a cartoon, but with the smartphone interface,
Right.
invented in South Korea probably. And I love these contents. And there's many contents. The concept that the man in the cartoon back to the past. So yeah, I usually watch this drama or this series
Yeah.
or this webtoon. So I feel if I can suppose I'm back in the past, and then what will I do? And yeah, I ask this question. Yeah.
Right, right. Yeah, no, it's and I've discussed like similar things on this podcast before with people, and it's funny how like if there's often problems that seem impossible to resolve, but even if you think, which maybe this is what you were just saying, but if you think to the past, there are previously problems where you felt the same way, but now they're, you're through them already. And so, but it's just so easy to forget that you've already crossed the other side of a similar feeling problem that you're facing right now. But it's always the new problem that feels so, impossible to solve because it's hard to visualize solving it because we haven't done it before because it's new, right? But if you think that there are many new problems in the past that you got past, then yeah, it definitely helps mentally to think, okay, a
That's
year
right.
from now, this will feel like one of those past problems that's not a big deal, and there'll be some other new problem that seems, impossible.
Yeah. And I also advise this tip to my friends or many colleagues, although they're entrepreneur nearby me. They
Yeah,
also have this too.
they also have adopted
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah,
sort
yeah.
of mindset. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah, yeah, and then to be all in the same wavelength that makes a big difference for a team to be thinking like that.
Mm,
Um, Well, Jonghwa, it's been a pleasure interviewing you. I definitely want to, see over time how your products progress and what kind of new auditory treatments in the digital space you create and try to scale up. It's definitely like very very interesting, to hear more about this. 'Cause I love the deep tech startups that where the founder really knows a lot about the space that they're in. It's always a very fascinating interview. So I appreciate you taking the time to talk about it.
me too. I really appreciate my broken English, but you summarized and well defined my words. I really appreciate today, and I'm really glad to listen my story and Bell's stories too. And if there's some opportunity that might be I also visit the US, I will contact you and probably we can make some meetings and I
Yeah,
will show you our apps and probably if you also have someone suffering from the insomnia, might be probably I'm not sure whether that time we are preparing well developed, but yeah, we can try to share our app, using opportunity to
Yeah.
want to listen to your feedback too. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Anytime you're in the US, especially if you're in the New York area, I'd be happy to meet up with you, and my brother and even myself at times have sleep issues, so I'd be happy to share the app with him and to try it out myself and give you guys feedback. It'd be great to if it, anything that could make it easier to sleep would definitely be worthwhile, even if someone doesn't have severe sleep issues, just to make it easier. So yeah, absolutely. And I look forward to maybe a year from now we'll do another interview and see how things are going. But yeah, I look forward to seeing how things develop. But yeah, thanks, Jonghwa, and until next time.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to
Yeah,
meet you, and yeah, hope we can meet next time too.